Hi my friends, it's Meredith with Soulnavigation, and I am so happy to be here with you today because today we are going to talk about the Ascendant, the different rising signs, and I'm going to talk to you about it in kind of a new way, in a little bit of a deeper way. So if you're brand new to astrology, stay tuned because I am going to walk you through all the different rising signs. I'm also going to talk to you about what it means to be an earth sign or an earth sign rising sign or a water sign rising sign, and this is going to be fascinating because we're going to peel back the truth of the rising sign. Just like we here, at least in my work, I don't do sun sign astrology. Your rising sign has about 10 different components that need to be taken into consideration for you to truly understand it. And we're going to go all into that. So stay tuned because I want you to know a little bit more about your rising sign. And I also want you to go watch my rising sign series. It's not totally complete, but I've got a lot of, I've probably got myself halfway through it. So let's dive in and let's talk about this. Okay. First of all, you can only know your rising sign if you know your birth time. So it is based on your birth time and your birthplace. And so if you don't have that, maybe listen to this video and see what you most relate to, and maybe you can narrow down the time you were born by 2 hours, because each rising sign is rising for about 2 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours. So the first thing we need to do is we need to look at the degree of that rising sign. And if you are born with a 29-degree rising sign or a 0-degree rising sign, I want you to look at the next sign that you're almost in, because and I also want you to really verify and double and triple and quadruple check your birth time, because you are literally only 7 minutes away. If you're born on the 29th or on the 0-degree, you're only about 7 minutes away or less to the next rising sign. So if somebody got lazy or sloppy or just rounded up, you could be the other rising sign. So if you just feel like astrology doesn't fit you or it's not working, especially with the rising sign, you might have your rising sign wrong. You'll also have the opposite sign rising if you mix up AM and PM. So you don't want to do that either. So let's also look at what else you need to know about in order to understand how your rising sign is going to work for you in the chart. First of all, what is the rising sign? Well, the rising sign is interesting because it's many things. Our rising sign is also called our ascendant, and it is our social personality. It is how we greet the world. It is how we approach life. It is how we expect or even subconsciously ask our environment, how we ask our environment to be or react to us, and how we expect to receive the world and other people. This is our vantage point. This is our lens, like these glasses. This is our lens that we see the world from. This is the seat that we chose in the theater and this is our vantage point to the stage of life. This is our outlook. This is our mask. This is our persona. This is our, again, social personality. This is a tool that we use. It is the act that we put on between our soul and the environment. So it's sort of the bridge into our soul and into our world. It is the front door. It is how you ask people to approach you. And it's sort of what people have to trek through to get to your inner self. It's the price of admission. It's the cost of entry. It's how we merge with the world. So our birth times are the time that we manifest as an individual being. It is how the whole rest of our zodiacal wheel will shape itself. It is going to show us the doorway into every single house in your chart. So it's very important because it shows us our doorway into the second house of self-worth and money. Our third house, it sets up the degree on that house cusp into each of the houses. The ascendant is also the physicality of you. It is your physical body, and it's the way that we interact with touch and taste and weather, if you will. It is sort of our temperature, if you will, metaphorically and kind of in a real way too. It's our relationship to temperature because it's our skin, right? It's our casing. If you are a mutable sign rising, you probably can fare better in changing temperatures. Okay, so first you need to know the sign of your ascendant, and you know that by the time and by the place. And of course the date. And if you would like your chart done, you can hop on over to soulnavigation.com. That's my website, and click on order an astrology report, and you can go buy your beautiful, gorgeous, I make the prettiest charts ever, and I make them very, very, very easy to read. Far easier than Astrodienst or something that you can get off the internet, because you can actually see those cusps in such a beautiful, beautiful way in my chart, and they're barely anything, and they're just gorgeous. You could even frame them. They're so pretty. But you need to know the sign. Then you need to know the degree of the sign. And then you need to know if there are planets conjunct the ascendant. The ascendant, remember, is the same name as the rising sign. And they have to be considered conjunct. Conjunct means next to or in alignment with. They have to be either 6 degrees above or 6 degrees below the ascendant. And if they are above the ascendant, they're a little bit more prominent because they're in the spotlight. If they're below, they're kind of like in your basement, right? Above the ascendant, it's like they're the candle on the birthday cake. And below the ascendant, it's like they kind of hidden and underneath. I know that sounds funny because the first house you would think is very vibrant and very bold. If it is within 6 degrees of the ascendant, it is magnified and it is prominent. It is glaringly prominent and important. It's absolutely critical if you have a planet that is conjunct the ascendant to understand that planet, because you're having a very deep karmic relationship with that particular planet in this lifetime, and it is making up a big portion of your personality. So the rising sign and the planets on the rising sign are also going to describe your moment of birth, what it was like to come down the canal, if you will, and out into the world. What was your hello like? And we'll talk about the different planets. So stay tuned, because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go through all the planets on the ascendant, and then I'm going to also go through each rising sign. So planets in the first house are absolutely critical, as are the ones in the 12th house, especially if they are within 6 degrees. If you have planets in the first house, but they are not within 6 degrees of the ascendant, they are still absolutely critical. They are still very, very important. They are just gargantuan if they are at the ascendant. So the next thing you need to know, the next most important thing, is the ruler of the ascendant. The ruler, the planetary ruler of the ascendant, becomes the ambassador of your ascendant. It becomes the driver. And so we need to go look at the ruler of the ascendant always. So if you are a Leo rising, your ascendant will be the sun. And so where the sun is will show me how it is expressed in your chart. So the next thing we need to know is we need to look at the aspects that the ruler makes to the ascendant. So sextiles and trines create kind of an easy flow and an easy rapport with yourself. It means your mask and your persona and your soul are in easy alignment with one another. They get along, they understand the same language, they do each other's bidding, they have a deep conversation that says, hey, we got this. And there's an ease and a flow, and these people usually like themselves, and they like the world, and they have an upbeat, positive attitude usually about the world. If you get a square, you're going to have more tension between these, the ruler and the ascendant. If you have a square aspect, that's a 90-degree aspect, there's going to be more tension, there's going to be less comfortability, and there is going to be a little bit of stress, and there's going to be maybe a nervousness and also an inhibition. And if you have an opposition, right? If your ruler is opposite the ascendant, so that would be over there on the descendant, that would be in the 7th house or in the 6th house by 6 degrees. If you have an opposition, this is a person who is always trying to accommodate two things and two worlds. So those are absolutely critical. If you have a question, put it down below. I try very, very hard. Forgive me if I don't get back to you. Some people actually get really, really, really mad at me if I don't write them back. And I have such a busy practice. You guys, I have like more than 10,000 clients in 17, actually last time I counted it was 28 countries. And I am a practicing evolutionary astrologer, and I do this all day long. I barely sleep. I'm so genuinely sorry if I can't get back to you and answer your question. Please do not take it personally. I try my very hardest, and I like to answer easy questions first because I can answer them fast. But if you do have a question, put it down below, and I promise you, I give you my heart, I will try my best to answer it. So let's go through the planets. If you've got the sun on the ascendant, this is going to give your chart and your ascendant this leadership quality and this vitality and sort of this like larger than life quality to your personality. If you've got your moon there, it's going to create somebody who is sensitive and nurturing and so kind in a way where this person has usually very soft, sensitive edges, and somebody who has a deep intuition about life and how it rolls out. Now, if you've got somebody who has Mercury on the ascendant, these are smart, easy communicators. These are people who like to run a lot of data through their mind. These are people who are really good with facts. These are people who can communicate really easily, and they can connect the dots super fast. You might think you're with somebody who is just constantly, thinking, talking, and connecting the data points. They can be annoying because they can also be sort of like quick to give their opinion. And they can also kind of never stop talking. I've got my neighbors again. It's Lily's world. She's so stinking cute. Forgive me if you can hear them. I'm trying not to be loud, but maybe I need to be louder. So Venus, if you've got Venus rising, by the way, how we talk about this is we talk about it like I have Sun rising, or I have Jupiter rising, or I have Venus rising, or I have Mars rising. If you have it 6 degrees above or 6 degrees below, whatever planet you have conjunct the ascendant, we just say, I've got Venus rising. So if you have Venus rising, you are gorgeous. I'm telling you, you are gorgeous. You are beautiful. You might be a little bit more, you will be the ideal gorgeous, whatever that looks like, in your culture, in your family, in your community. So whatever was taught to you is beautiful. And maybe it's tacky to someone else, but that's what you think gorgeous is. You care, and your persona will get dolled up in Venus style. So if you've got Mars rising, Mars on the ascendant, you're courageous, you're ambitious, you're direct, you don't sit down, you are busy, and you're ready for combat. You're ready to take it on. You're probably athletic, and you probably are a serious go-getter. So if you've got Jupiter rising, you are a generous, optimistic spirit. You're like the gold wrapping on one of those Cadbury eggs or on a Christmas present. You are this generous, happy, optimistic storyteller. You look for the good in life. If you've got Uranus rising, there's a restlessness to you. There's a zaniness to you. There's kind of a crazy, fun kind of craziness to you. There's a rebellion about you, like unconventional, willing to, blaze your own trail in a way. And there's a uniqueness to you. You probably have like a tattoo or a different color hair, or you probably have some sort of marking that says, I'm different. You have your teeth capped, or, and I mean capped with like gold or silver, or you probably wear funky glasses, or your outfit says it. Something about you says, I do not live in a consensus thinking mode. And if you have not seen my video called The Madness and Genius of Aquarius Rising, and you are an Aquarius Rising, oh my God, you have to go watch that, because that's very similar to having Uranus on the ascendant. So if you have Uranus on the ascendant, you got to go watch The Madness and Genius of Aquarius Rising, because it's a similar deal and you'll like it. You'll laugh. It's very funny. Neptune. With Neptune there's a charisma. There's this magnetic quality to you. There is this ability to just take in the world in a way that is so comforting. I really should say take in other people. You probably are also an animal communicator, or you have a, and I'm kind of jealous, I don't have Neptune rising, but a Zen bubble about you where you bring peace and tranquility to the environment. Will you please tell me if you are Neptune rising, and tell me if you can relate to that? You can also sort of be a space junkie and a little bit spaced out. It could also be really hard for you to like have high focus in a traditional classroom setting. There's a high creativity with Neptune rising. And there is a propensity though to dabble with drugs and psychedelics. So that's interesting. Pluto. If you have Pluto rising, you are very intense and super reflective, and you can be heavy-handed, and you can kind of unknowingly alienate people with that Pluto rising, because you are so dialed into the truth. You have the best BS meter out of anybody in the entire zodiac. If you are Pluto rising, I'm telling you, you have a BS detector like an antenna on the top of your head, and you're very hard to persuade. There is a smoldering intensity, and you oftentimes can come across a little bit like a bully, because you're not afraid to call out BS, and you can oftentimes attract bullies and attract danger into your life at times. You're very transformative though. It's like you come into this world as a lethal weapon. If you're Pluto rising, will you tell me if that's true? I want to know. I want to know all your thoughts. Let's build a community where we talk to each other and we share so everybody can kind of understand. Now listen, if you don't feel like your rising sign, you gotta go look and see what the ruler is doing, and you have to layer that in with what planets are on the ascendant. You have to layer that in. You have to layer in the sign, and you have to layer in not only the ruler, but the house the ruler is in. Okay, so you got a lot of homework to do. Write those things down and figure out each one. So if you're Leo rising and you're ruled by the sun, and the sun is in the 9th house, right? That's a lot of gregariousness, because you know that the 9th house is a fire sign house natally, and it is Sagittarius's house. But let's say your sun, your Leo rising, and your sun is in the 7th house, Aquarius, right? You have to know that the ruler of your Leo rising is in Aquarius in the 7th house, and you have to blend those together. Now let's say your moon is on the rising sign. You have to put the moon there too. So this is a highly Leo, passionate, creative, self-expressed Leo rising, ruled by the Aquarius sun. So this is somebody who is really unique, right? In the 7th house of other people. So this Aquarius happens to care a lot about other people and what people think of them. Leo rising cares. They care. They want to make a good impression. Now you put the moon there, and now they're super sensitive. They are so sensitive, right? Now that's a very different kind of Aquarius than just an Aquarian. And if they only read about or listened to the videos on just Aquarius, you would miss how much it matters to them what people think of them. And you would miss that, how creative and even childlike they want to be, and how truly sensitive they are towards the feelings and emotions of other people with the moon rising. So that's just a little idea. Now, let's take it a step further. Don't lose me. Not yet. Not yet. Fire sign ascendants are going to be filled with vitality. They are going to be filled with physical energy, and beams of energy are going to fly outward into the world. They are going to be positive and optimistic, and they're going to step into the world and expect the world to be adventurous and bold. They like bold colors, they like bold statements, they're direct. All three fire sign risings, Leo, Sag, and Aries, are bold and direct, and they will probably, unless they've got a lot of those layers that are humble and reserved and subdued, the fire sign risings usually present a confidence, just a confidence galore. Now, they might not really feel that, but that's what they present. That's how they present. That's how they want you to see them. They want you to see them as confident, even if they don't feel it that much inside. They're direct, they're swift, they're blunt, and they want to make a mark on life ASAP, like yesterday, but they'll take today. They want everything now. They are impatient. And it's because they're so goal-oriented, they feel like, hey, I put a quarter into the jukebox, I want the song to play. Somebody told me here on my other video that I have a touch of, I think he said 60s old school flavor. I'm like, okay, I think that's cool. I don't know. But do I? I don't even know what it means. But I thought it was funny because he's commenting on my persona. So I thought it was funny. But it's like the little jukebox, I put a quarter in, I want the song to play, damn it. Why isn't it playing? Why isn't it playing? I want it right now. That's how fire signs are. Okay, so air signs are very interesting because they are so mentally quick and they talk fast. They are super active in their mind and they're super inquisitive. And it's kind of nice when you are dating an air sign, especially, from my own experience as a female, because they're always like a step ahead around the next thing that needs to be done. And they're super clever, they're super witty, and they have super fast, rapid perceptions. And they can be so intellectual that you find them constantly debating everything, sometimes just to prove a point. So they can be exasperating that way, but they're usually really, really super fantastic communicators. So earth signs are going to be very matter of fact, and they're going to focus on the material world, and they can show up a little bit more conservative. They give an impression of deep loyalty, and you may feel that their spontaneity or their self-expression is calculated or a little bit reserved. They are a great observer. Gosh, they are really good listeners usually, and they're steady. They're reliable, they're on time, they make a plan, they stick to it, and they are usually really valued by the end of the night for their loyalty. They protect. Earth signs are great protectors. They have patience galore. If you're somebody who needs somebody to be patient with you, find yourself an earth sign rising. Oh, they are so patient. And they like systems and routines. So if you need your partner to call you every day, these are the people that will call every day. Fire sign, air sign, if they have time, they will. But your earth signs and even your water signs, they'll check in with you every day. So water signs, they can be so easily influenced by their surroundings and by other people because they naturally merge, and they're sensitive. They can be moody, but it's because their moods shift and adapt to the environment. They usually can go so many different places, but they will take on the energy of that place that they're going. So if you want to go to a concert, they're going to bring their you know, their concert psyche. If you're going to a wedding, they're going to bring on their wedding psyche. If they're going to meet the President of the United States, they're going to bring on that persona. And an earth sign, it's sort of like, hey, you get what, you get just what they are. They're not going to be able to change themselves into, they're not going to be able to adapt quite as easily as a water sign. A water sign merges so deeply with you that you actually are convinced by the end of the evening or the end of meeting them that you've never in your life ever have been so gotten before. I mean, you just feel like, oh my God, you're so madly in love with me, aren't you? When really, they're just doing them. They're not, I mean, yeah, they probably like you, but it feels so good. You probably think that they have fallen madly in love with you. And it's not true. That's just how kind they are. That's how intuitive they are. They can merge so easily. I will tell you, they are deeply protective. And so they don't reveal of themselves like air signs do or fire signs do. They are very protective. They're protective of you and they are protective of themselves. So it takes a very long time to get to know truthfully your water sign person, even a Pisces. You might think that they're just spilling the beans on their life. No, they are so private. I'm telling you, there's a whole nother side. So don't think you know your water signs. By the end of the night, they will know you, but you won't know them. Water sign risings, tell me if it's true. Tell me. But they are so sympathetic and they feel other people's emotions just in a primal way. And they feel it immediately. So they live deep within themselves, and they have deep private lives, and they don't go exposing that. You know, they don't cast their pearls before swine. What is the ruling planet? You need to know your planetary rulers, and I'm not going to go through them all here, but I want you to spend 5 minutes and understand each sign's ruling planet. And some signs get 2, like Scorpio gets Pluto and Mars, right? Let's see. Oh, Aquarius gets Saturn and Uranus. I want you to memorize the ruling planets for each sign. So the ruling planet reveals the energy and the motivations behind the person's self-expression and social personality, their mask and their approach. So it's sort of like the fuel, right? I said it was the ambassador. It is, but it is like, how is it fueled? And the house of the ruling planet will show you the experiences where one's life's energy will most likely manifest. So where the effort in their life will easily show up. So the ruling planets, Aries is ruled by Mars. So if you're Aries rising, you got to go look at Mars. You got to see what house Mars is in, and you have to add that flavor, right, to your rising sign. So if you're Aries rising and you have Mars in Cancer, you're a totally different kind of Aries, aren't you? You have a lot softer edges. And what are you going to fight for? Probably love, probably emotions, probably children. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So you got to go look and find Mercury. Okay, you're with me? Cancer is ruled by the moon. So if you're Cancer rising, where is the moon in your chart? And what is it doing? And in what house is it in? That is the fuel inside your rising sign. And what house it's in shows you the subject matter that is probably absolutely critical to your life. And you know, Leo is ruled by the sun, and Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Libra is ruled by Venus, and Scorpio is ruled by Mars and Pluto. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. You know that Aquarius is ruled by both Uranus and Saturn, and Pisces is ruled by Neptune and Jupiter. So you have to go look at both those rulers and see what both of them are doing. It just means you have a more complex story. Okay, I just want to reiterate. that we're not doing just the ascendant. We have to take the ruling planet of the ascendant and we have to mix it with the sign that is rising, your rising sign. We have to mix the two together and we have to create one unit. And those two things create one unit. So sometimes you'll get something like a Sagittarius that is not outgoing at all and is quite shy and is inhibited, right? Well, they might be Cancer rising. And guess what? That's ruled by the moon. What if Cancer rising and the moon is in a shy house, like the 8th house, right? That's going to be somebody who is very sensitive and probably not as flamboyant, and maybe somebody who even suffers from stage fright, which most Sagittariuses don't. So if you don't feel like your sun sign, this might be why. That's why I don't do sun sign astrology here on this channel. By the way, if you want to get one of the very best reports that outlines all this, my report called The Deep Dive, just go to soulnavigation.com. You can go order one of my reports and get the deep dive. It's absolutely amazing. I just gave it away to my dog walker. Look at Teddy. Can you believe him? He is so stinking cute. Anyways, he goes on these fabulous play dates, and I gave it to my dog walker. And she's a Gemini, but she's a very unique Gemini. Well, she is Pluto rising, and she's Virgo rising. So her sun sign and her rising sign are in square aspect to one another, and she has Pluto on the ascendant. Well, when I gave her that deep dive report, she was just like, wow. And it was 67 pages long. So that report is just so worth it if you want to figure out your layers. Okay, let's have fun and let's go in really quick. I'm going to give you a snapshot, but I want you to try to see if I have already done a longer video on your rising sign. I think I've gotten through 6 of them, but they take a lot of work because I like doing the deep dive. I like showing all the layers. And so I'm very chatty and I go deep, 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 deep because I want you guys to have the information. So if you're Aries rising, you are going to be probably abrupt, ambitious, restless, impatient, always in a hurry, always on the go, always on the move. You know, you can even feel that the world is sort of out to get you because you're ready for combat. You're ready to take it on. You know, you're ready to be kind of offended, if you will. And you can be so blunt and direct that you can sometimes be even a little bit off-putting because you have a little bit of an insensitivity, and this can feel inconsiderate. I'm not trying to be rude, I'm just being honest, but it's because you're born to lead, you're in a rush, and we don't have time to sit around and give you a cheese sandwich. And the cheese sandwich is a bunch of soft hellos, and then the directness, and then a bunch of soft goodbyes. We don't have time for all that. We just need to do the cheese. It's the cheese, the cheese, the cheese. So Aries rising has so much confidence that they don't wait around. They just take charge. They're like a good firefighter, you know, in a burning building. They're going to be the ones that just instinctively rush into the fire and save you. So think of an EMT. They don't have time to deliver you the cheese sandwich. And so if you are a Cancer, but you're Aries rising, you're going to have a ferociousness to you, right? It's going to be tempered because of the Cancer, but you have to blend it, and you got to go check out Mars. And what is Mars doing, and where's Mars at? So Taurus rising. Taurus rising, these people are very measured and methodical, and they kind of ooze sort of a self-control. They can look sort of statuesque, like they're holding a pose. They're beautiful too. They're usually born beautiful. And if you are a Taurus rising and you don't feel that you are beautiful, or you don't embody the beauty of how you were raised inside your culture or your home or your family or whatever, if you feel that either you've let yourself go or your Venus is severely afflicted in your chart and you can't access it very well. So tell me if you are a Taurus rising but you don't feel particularly beautiful, and tell me where your Venus is and let's take a look at it. Taurus rising is motivated to make other people feel good. They love nature, they love tranquility, and they have an extreme affection for all the senses. So they want you to experience them as tasting good, feeling, producing good food that tastes good, or tasting good. They want to be I embarrassed myself. You know what I mean, right? I get ahead of myself, like thinking my things and my voice doesn't work always. What I'm saying is they want you to feel good. They want you to experience an environment that feels good, looks good, tastes good, smells good, right? They want to be that, and they want the environment to be that. And by the way, they want you to be that too. So they need the senses to be heightened. So Gemini rising, out of the entire zodiac, Gemini rising is the hands down most friendly of the entire zodiac. Gemini rising, even more friendly than Libra rising. They are the least likely to be running an agenda on you, in truth, where Libra rising kind of has an agenda. They have a goal, and Gemini rising is the most curious, and they can be kind of high strung and a little bit worried all the time. They clip at really fast pace, like they're usually fast typers. They're great with their hands. Their mind is in rapid fire all the time. They're usually super smart. They're super inquisitive. They are just tremendous communicators. And if you're hanging out with somebody who just won't stop talking and doesn't know how to listen, if they don't know how to take a pause or where to gosh, they should have just ended the sentence there and they just had to keep going. Believe it or not, I'm not Gemini rising. I'm not. I can be a good listener, but in this format, I'm just trying to get out as much information as I possibly can. But they're probably a Gemini rising, and they can circle in and out of a debate all by themselves. So 1 minute they're sitting there agreeing with you, and in the very next breath they're disagreeing with you, and you're like, what the heck? Are you on or off? Oh, you're a Gemini rising? You're both. Now I get it. They're very fun people to be around, though, because they're great at stories. They love to laugh at jokes. They're super funny, and they are friendly. They will talk to anybody. They make small children fall in love with them. Oftentimes have great relationships with their siblings. They just love people. They are networkers. They are kind of unafraid to express themselves. Okay, Cancer rising. They are so sympathetic, and they're mild. They've got softer demeanors, and they oftentimes are always thinking of the other person. And I will tell you though, that they can get their feelings so hurt, chronically and constantly, and they expect to. They will walk into a party or a situation and they're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to be uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm going to get my feelings hurt. Yeah, this person doesn't like me. They are very highly attuned to who likes them, who doesn't like them, who gets along with each other, who doesn't get along with each other. They are highly attuned when people don't get along. They hate conflict that way. It upsets their stomach, and they can pick up on the slightest of slights. So they can hear the barb in the communication, right? And they can go so deep. With Cancer rising, you can truly feel like they love you, they care about you. But here's what's interesting. They live deep inside of their emotional world. And by the end of the evening, you won't know a damn thing about them. And they will know everything about you because they make it so comfortable for you to confess your sins. But they are not going to confess theirs to you. Nope. And you have to go figure out where the moon is. And if they've got the moon in Sag or a Gemini, maybe you have a chance of knowing their sins by the end of the night. But if they've got it locked down in Scorpio, that's going to take you a lifetime. Trust me, I know that combination really, really well. That's going to take a lifetime. Yeah, that and a wrench. a pair of pliers. But oftentimes Cancer rising sees things like really through their own filter, or their family's filter, or what they were taught, or their cultural background only. And because they're loyal to their family, they're loyal to the belief system oftentimes that they were raised in, unless they're Aries, or unless they're Sagittarius or Gemini or Aquarius. You know, if they've got more loyalty in their chart, like Taurus or Leo, you know, they or Scorpio, they are going to have a hard time not seeing literally through the lens of the belief system they grew up with. So I believe, this is a little bit controversial, but I believe racism is taught. I don't believe there's a racist baby on the planet. I don't. So, and I'm not saying cancers are racist, but what I am saying is if you grow up with a certain message infiltrated through your family, and let's say it is racist and you are Cancer rising, it will be very hard for you, harder than most. You're not just a Gemini rising here. It'll be hard for you to unlock and unhinge from that belief system that you were taught. The same thing like with religion. If you were born, you know, Catholic or Jewish or Protestant, very hard for a Cancer rising to break out of the family belief system because they are so loyal to the merging of it, and their identity has come to depend on it. And they feel a lot of guilt if they have to separate from the family belief system. And Cancer risings, if you can relate to this, please let me know. And if you are a Cancer rising and you betrayed your family's belief system because it didn't align with a deeper truth inside of you, would you be so lovely to leave a comment below and let me know? And let me know if that was hard for you or if that was easy for you. I saw the movie The Boy in the Red Pajamas. My God, that was like a hard movie to watch. Oh, did anybody see that movie? That movie, you know, the wife realized that she was married to a Nazi, and a Nazi was a bad thing to be. You know, the world didn't wake up to that right away. It was happening all around them. They didn't wake up to it. And when she realized that in the 40s, she divorced him and left him. And it was just very interesting. That's kind of how it would feel being a Cancer rising, having to pull away. It's just so hard to do. You will try to stay inside a situation that doesn't work for you. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if you can't, it's like ripping your own heart out. So it's kind of hard and a little bit painful to be a Cancer rising if your world that you grew up in is not in alignment with self. I spent a little extra time on Cancer rising because I think that their plight in life is very tender and very fragile and very, very, very unique. Okay, Leo rising. So Leo risings are oftentimes trying to get people and even themselves to express their very best self, their largest self, the largest, best expression of self that they can. And they're oftentimes so creative and they're expressive. They're storytellers. They hold court and they have a flair or a mask of ease, even though down deep inside they might suffer from more stage fright than what they reveal. And they can razzle dazzle you with a big, generous heart. But they can also be a little bit aloof and cool and regal because they ultimately have a dignity about them, but they kind of have bigger ego needs and they have a need for respect. And because of that, they will jockey for a position of dignity. And sometimes they won't play because whatever you all are playing is a little bit, you know, beneath them, if you will. They have sort of an austerity about them, and they can be off-putting, like all fire sign risings can be, because they have usually they have a fairly good opinion of themselves, and this can be a little tiny bit off-putting to others. They don't have innately a humility about them. They have to learn it. So they can really come across as sort of pompous, if you will, sort of self-knowing or self-righteous. But they usually also, I will tell you, oftentimes they see their family or they see the world that they came into with a great deal of idealization. Oftentimes they can feel like their family is royalty. Their family is better than your family. Their family is, kings and queens. And so they can come away feeling inadequate to their parents. Oftentimes they can feel like, gosh, I'll never live up to the standards of this like gilded gold family, if you will. And they can sometimes feel really disappointed. They oftentimes have a sort of Cinderella outlook about life. And so then when life doesn't deliver that Cinderella story, if you will, there is a hidden or secret melancholy. They probably more than any other sign, they have perfected their mask. They have perfected the entertaining mask that they wear. They love having people love them. And they will even manipulate a little bit to get that love or to get that reward. And they will entertain, they will tap dance, they will tell jokes, they will have an ease about them, right? But it can kind of be a little bit manipulative if they're not in touch with themselves. You have to really look at, with a Leo rising, their sun sign is going to be shining through, and their sun sign, their soul, is the ambassador of their chart. So if their sun sign is in affliction, is in square or opposite aspect to the Leo rising, they can be perpetually entertaining in an inauthentic way that gets them the adoration and admiration, but not the thing they want the most, which is respect, loyalty, and love. So they can kind of sell out. They can kind of be selling tickets to the carnival show, right? Always being on, always being the entertainer. Like, I'll get you front row Beyonce concert tickets just so you'll like me, right? And maybe even love me. And they end up being generous and giving to a fault. And it's an exchange for a relationship, but oftentimes they get the short end of the stick, especially if their sun sign is not in a harmony with their Leo rising. It's very hard for them to develop authenticity and get out of the game of charm. Are you with me? If you're a Leo rising, let me know. If your sun sign is in harmony, that would be a fire sign or an air sign, with the exception of Aquarius, because that's an opposition. And let me know if life is easy for you and if you're kind of the entertainer. Okay, let's go into Virgo. So Virgo rising, they have a little bit more confidence than just the Virgo sun sign. And they have a genuine humility. Oftentimes Virgo rising does not like their body. They want to change it. They want to perfect it. They have a very deep relationship with self-mastery and perfectionism. And oftentimes they can see just, oh, my nose is just slightly bent this way, or oh, I have a bump here, or I need my eyebrows done, or I don't like my jawline, or my, whatever. And they can be self-critics at such a hard level. It hurts me, but to even think about. But one thing I do love about them is that it's very easy, I've got mosquitoes out here, it's very easy for them to acknowledge and to see and to talk about that there is so much more for them to learn in this lifetime. Whatever project they're working on, even their own knowledge base, they will oftentimes confess, I don't know everything, more so than a Virgo sun sign. And they hopefully they can move through their self-criticism, but oftentimes they've felt like not good enough. Their family taught them that, hey, you need to do more, work harder, earn better grades. There's a criticism that they expect the world to deliver to them. And I find it sometimes unbearable because a Virgo rising will do great work for me, right? But they will see all the tiny flaws. I never even saw them. They don't realize that the rest of the world does not have that strict of a yardstick or a measuring stick. And Virgo risings are also not quite as conventional as Virgo sun signs, but they still want to be seen as perfectionistic. And I will tell you, they are so interesting to talk to, and they are such good communicators because they're ruled by Mercury. So wherever Mercury is in their chart, it's really critical. So if they are Virgo rising and Mercury is in Virgo, that's the double critic. So they probably self-sabotage and have a lot of anxiety. These are highly anxious people. They're also probably petite, and they probably have a desire to do things just quite right. So let's talk about Libra rising. Libra rising is so kind and so sweet, and above all else, they want to create harmony with others. They lend this friendly and personal tone to all the other energies in a chart. It's actually very hard to see the bad side or the dark side of Libra rising. They don't show it, they don't reveal it. The only way you can know it is to be deeply intimately involved. This has to be your child, your parent, or your spouse, or maybe your best friend. But Libra rising does not want to show flaws. They do not want to show their shadow side. They do not like that. It creates this acrimonious feeling and detest inside of themselves. So they don't show their flaws. And I think that they can sabotage themselves by not taking risks because they don't want to be in a place or a space that is disruptive. So they don't want to tell the crass joke if it's going to disrupt or hurt or harm. They will tell a safe joke. And I'll tell you this, and I don't know if she's going to watch this or not, but I have a beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous, of course, she's Libra niece. And she is like 28 years old, maybe. Anyways, a young adult. And just recently I've noticed that she's come into the greatest sense of humor, because Libras are funny and they're super astute. But she has the greatest sense of humor, and she's so funny. She is side-splittingly funny, and it's because she is now in her life at 28 willing to take risks that a sense of humor, that being funny costs. So she can poke fun in a way that makes people fall in love with themselves and die laughing, and makes fun of you too in this loving way, right? And it is so hilarious. So she makes you see the funny thing about yourself in a way that says, I love you. And it is such a great blend. But this is not a simple thing for Libra rising to do, because they genuinely care about making other people feel constantly and chronically comfortable. They also, more than Libra sun signs, Libra risings really crave having a significant person in their life, and they don't do well if they don't have somebody to bounce off of. Now, this could be just a best friend, or it could be a mate or a child, but you have to go look at Venus and see what Venus is doing in the chart. If you got Venus in Aquarius, that won't be as true. But if you have Venus in Pisces, these people are idealizing relationship. Venus in Gemini, they also, that Venus in Gemini is going to be the chart ruler and the ambassador. So there's a lot more independence in this person. Venus in Cancer, these people need a relationship. So leave me, if you're Libra rising, leave me your thoughts on that. And where is your Venus? So Scorpio rising is so intense. Do you know a Scorpio rising? You cannot miss a Scorpio rising. Scorpio rising can see people's motives a mile away. And these are the psychotherapists of the zodiac. And they love exploring the depths of the psyche and esoteric and taboo subjects. They like to throw little zingers out there. And that's to test you to see if you can handle them. And if you squirm or flinch or bat an eye or pause or gasp or they know they can't go very deep with you. So if you're with a Scorpio rising, act like you are unflinching. Be unflinchingly a good listener. Be unfazed by, did you know I almost killed my stepmother? Yeah, one night I almost killed her. I just want you to be unflinching. Like, really? Wow, that must have been interesting. Do tell. None of that's true, by the way. I don't have a stepmother. But I'm just saying, they're testing you. They are constantly testing your bandwidth for being able to handle the gore and the depraved stories inside of their soul. Like, can you handle it? Let me throw this out there. They're measuring and calculating all the time. So a lot of people would say that Scorpio rising is super courageous and they can go where, angels fear to tread. But I want to tell you something in real truth, and don't tell the Scorpios this. And by the way, they're all going to start arguing with me on this thing. But there's a fear inside of Scorpio. And I think it's a fear because they know, they have their pulse on how dark and sick the world can be. And so under this extremely cool facade, like this really cool facade, sort of this facade made of stone. I mean, it is the ultimate poker face. They are the iceberg, right? And they will not reveal it. They'd be the great interrogator. They will not reveal. I mean, you have to really spend a lifetime of trying to get your Scorpio rising to reveal. And they may probably go to the grave with a lot of secrets inside of them. And I say this in a way where I'm not picking on Scorpio rising, but there is no other sign in the zodiac that can rival Scorpio rising for being vindictive, ruthless, or even jealous. So you got to go look at what Mars and Pluto are doing in the chart. And let me tell you a secret about Scorpio. Mars is going to show you the physical wound or fear, the fear that bubbled up from the physical wound they suffered. And Pluto is going to show you the fear that bubbles up from the psychological wound that they suffered from. Scorpio rising is very complex. When Scorpio rising loves you and respects you, they will honor you like nobody else in the entire zodiac. They will fall on their sword for you. They will die protecting you. They will never let you suffer without them by your side if they care about you. They are the Marine that will go back into the hot, molten lava to get your dead body to carry you out of the ash to bring you back home to your family. These people will die loving you when you've earned their respect and their loyalty. And when you are the recipient of that, you feel love at a transformational level like you've never experienced before. And I don't think I have a video on that particular rising sign, but I do have a lot of them done, and I want you to go watch those videos because I put a lot of time, a lot of heart, and a lot of soul into them. So Sag rising. Sag rising is so optimistic and so enthusiastic. They're really broad-minded. They are the visionary, and they bring a upbeat generosity to their world, and they usually expect their world to end on a happy note. They like the stories that end with a happy ending usually, and unless they have a lot of Scorpio in their chart, then that gets a little twisted. But these are the people that can bounce back after the hardest disappointments. Sagittarius rising is actually a little bit more optimistic, I will be honest with you, than a Sagittarius sun sign. A Sagittarius sun sign can get stuck inside of their own truths, where Sagittarius rising really does not harbor a lot of grudges unless they got a lot of Scorpio in their chart. They're very inspiring. They are almost addictive. People want to be around them. They have their personalities act in a way that sort of like makes people hungry for them. But in truth, they're kind of like the happy sad clown. So they're the person who auditioned to be the clown, maybe now at Cirque du Soleil, before Barnum and Bailey Circus. There's my 1960s old school. Anyways, so they dress up like the clown and then they take off all that makeup and they feel like their life is so sad, right? So they hide their wounds, they hide their disappointments. A lot of them are not even in touch with their disappointments and their wounds unless they've got a lot of water in their chart. But the hard part of Sagittarius rising is that they can be so brazen, so foot and mouth syndrome. They talk too fast, think too fast. Sometimes they lose their tact or their sensitivity towards other people. And so you can get hit over the head with a baseball bat with them trying to get you to see the truth. See the truth, right? And they can just burn down the barn trying to get you to see the truth. But usually they're just brilliant storytellers and they seek the ideal, so they can end up feeling very dissatisfied with life. That's why they have the grass is always greener on the other side. It's not really true, but they feel that at such a deep level because life disappoints them, because they are the idealist. So Capricorn risings, you know, they are so serious and they can come across so stern. They come across like they are in command, and they often lead and start with no. And then you have to melt them into yes. Go watch my Capricorn rising video. It's good. Anyways, you can get a yes out of them, but you have to get there factually, you have to get there calmly, you have to get there in a way that makes logical sense. They see life through a lens like Virgo. They're very similar to Virgo. That's why I like putting them together in relationships, through the lens of, okay, what can go wrong with this scenario? Okay, I want to buy that house with you, honey, but look at all these things that we're going to need to do. The roof has got to go. We need a new furnace. The flooring isn't good. Where the partner was just like, it's a dream home, right? So they can see life through a lens of what they feel will go wrong. And they don't like naivete. So that's why they're cynical. They absolutely cannot stand gullibility and naivete. If you're a Capricorn rising, tell me if it's true. They don't like to waste time on unproven ideas. They don't like it. They want the facts. And they also don't have time for chit chat and a bunch of BS small talk. So unless there is an agenda and a purpose and a good cause and a good reason for this chit chat. So I got to know why I'm sitting here having this inane and stupid conversation with you filled with a bunch of BS chit chat. Oh, the agenda is that we're going to close a $3.5 million deal next month, maybe? Okay, I'll chit chat with you. Do you see what I mean? It has to have intention in it. It can't just be chit chat to just chit chat. Like Gemini could just be in a good conversation and it was just a good conversation and there's no agenda going nowhere. But they have a deep protective cover and they're not going to reveal their vulnerability to you ever. Their ruler is Saturn. So you've got to go look at what Saturn is doing in their chart. Normally Saturn is quite conservative and they like to appear normal and safe, and they care about their reputation and they care about their appearance. Okay, Aquarius rising. These people will be so unconventional, and there's going to be something on them that says, I'm a nonconformist, I am a non-consensus thinker, and I am rebellious. I don't fit into my family. I don't fit into this group. I am different and I am unique. They can be a little bit kooky and they can process and think at the speed of light. I mean, trying to pin an Aquarius rising down is like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. And I do have an Aquarius rising video, as I mentioned before. It's called The Madness and Genius of Aquarius Rising. They can be very detached and super independent. They will communicate their independence to you at hello. They will reveal to you just how independent they are and how much they value their independence before you even say hi to them. But and they also like themselves, usually. They know they're a little quirky. They know they're a little kooky. They know they're a little different. And they like it that way. They don't want to fit in. They don't want to wear what you're wearing. You're going to wear a dress? Well, I'm wearing jeans. I'm going to wear jeans. All right, I'll wear my blazer, but I'm going to wear jeans too. And you're just like, ay. You're really going to wear sandals with socks to this nice event? Please, please, can you just conform and wear some nice dress shoes? No? Oh my God. So they need to have people around them that let them be them more than anybody else in the whole zodiac. You know, Leo wants that too. Leo rising, like, I need to be me. I need to self-express in my own creative way. But Aquarius is like, I need you to let me break all the rules. And they will break the rules. They are the rule breaker. They're unpredictable. You do not know if they are coming or going. And if you want kind of a spicy life where you just don't know what you're going to get, and it's always exciting, always different, always unusual, date an Aquarius rising. And we didn't go into the physical features, but they always have the most beautiful eyes. Oh my God, usually just these translucent eyes. Let's talk about Pisces. Pisces is so sensitive. Pisces rising is so intuitive, so emotional and imaginative, and they are soulfully helpful towards other people. You will see their soul before you say hello. And they have, Pisces rising has a little bit of a stronger sense of who they are, more so than a sun sign Pisces. And the Pisces rising, the sun usually becomes the ruling planet is really important to Pisces rising because it is going to be very, very domineering. They are going to be the epitome of where their Jupiter or Neptune is. They merge very, 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 very deeply with their ruling planet. Their Jupiter keeps them in that gregarious and optimistic, idealistic sort of dream, if you will. They are the dreamers. They're going to dream up the most outlandish, crazy, not like Aquarius, but the most outlandish creative ideas you've ever seen. They're going to expand whoever they talk to because they live in the infinite and they live in the possibility of life. They usually have an ideal or an idyllic sense of what they want, and they actually believe it can happen unless they've been squashed too many times. This is a very soft rising sign, and they have like an enveloping approach to people and to life. This sign, more than any other sign, loves easily and loves all living creatures and has a very hard time hurting a fly, if you will. They easily, how you will know a Pisces rising, unless there's some piece in the chart that I'm not seeing, you know, maybe they have Pluto there or something. I doubt it because there's no Pisces, Pluto and Pisces that we know of. But they don't brag. They have a humility about them, like Virgo rising, their opposite sign. Virgo rising can sometimes be a know-it-all. Pisces rising is never a know-it-all. They easily credit other people. They rarely brag. They can have a confidence, but they will more often than not give other people credit. And they usually have an ability to communicate with animals at a very high degree. Like, this is the horse whisperer. This is the person who can genuinely communicate with life forms other than people. Like, they can communicate with flowers, with animals. I swear to God, they could talk to fish. They're probably the dolphin communicator. I'm not joking. They're amazing that way. And when you're in the presence of a Pisces rising, you just feel this love. This love. They love the most easily, I think. And that's also their demise, right? Because they get their hearts broken and they like jump in and probably too quick, too fast, too soon, because when they feel it, they're very idealistic. So I want to tell you, the one thing that I didn't do, and I can do this for next time, is I didn't talk about what the rising signs look like, but there are certain features. And sometimes you look like your rising sign, but if you don't, you got to go look at the ruling planet and see what that ruling planet is doing. So if you're Aquarius rising, and your moon is in Aquarius, you probably really look like an Aquarius. And I want to give you the single best book on the body types. I love this book. This is by Judith Hill. I love Judith. I love her work. She's fantastic. I love this book. It is so good. So I might do my next video or another video on, rising signs. So this is what Mercury looks like. And Mercury is oftentimes young and a fountain of youth. And there's certain characteristics. And remember, your rising sign is going to show you what you physically look like. But you got to go look at what the ruler's doing to get more of that energy. So oftentimes, if you're a Sag rising, you don't always look like a Sagittarius rising. It depends what planets you have on that rising sign. The planet matters. If you're Venus rising, you are going to be a gorgeous version of, if you have Venus rising, but you're a Sag rising, you're going to be a gorgeous version of Sagittarius, right? And if you have Mars rising, you're going to be a physically strong. You're going to probably look like a stallion, like a racehorse. And you're going to have amazing thighs. You're going to be just built. So maybe if you guys want, I'll do a body types. What does each sign look like? And you can start seeing it around the room. It's crazy. It's super fun. Anyways, this was a long video. I hope I gave you tons of good information. Leave me a comment below. If you haven't become a subscriber, please do. I want to get to 20,000 subscribers and I need your help. And ring the little bell so you can be invited to my spontaneous lives where I talk more deeply about the transits and your chart. And I hope you're wonderful, and I will be looking forward to seeing you here every Sunday at 9:30 in the morning when I post a new video. Take good care. Bye for now. From my house to yours. Be good, stay safe, and take good care.